This meeting is
Awesome.
being live streamed.
Okay.
Still,
Awesome. Good afternoon. Hi, everybody. It's good to see more of your faces. I look forward to helping you guys through this kind of next phase. As you guys are coming in, I would love if you would share how it's going. How's your day going? How far are you along? And are you feeling really good about the digital product you've decided on? You got your copy written? Are you feeling jazzed? I'm so glad the doc was helpful. Say hello in the chat and let us know where you're at. We're going to give everybody a couple of minutes to join us. And then once we get started, I will toss it over to Teachable's team to help you guys build out the sales page live. And then we're going to have an opportunity to get your strategy questions answered. So feel free to pop those in the chat as it makes sense. I'm so glad you're learning so much. Productive process so far. Very effective. I love it. A very effective process. That is my goal in life. I have my page, but wondering how to change some things. No problem. You're in the right spot for that. Day is going well. Awesome. Wonderful day. Clarity is real. Ooh, I like that, Brittany. Effective. Loving it. Are you planning on running this again? I have a friend who wants to join. Well, if you have a friend who wants to join, it's not too late to have them join. They're going to be able to access everything we've done today. So you're welcome to send them to bossproject.com/launch. And I would love to have them go ahead and join us, even if it's late. But yes, is the short answer. Teachable and I have been scheming and dreaming about the rest of the year. So no worries, we will be doing this again. Hello from Dublin. I had a digital product created last week. Amazing. We will get into your questions here at the end. All right. I think enough people are streaming in that we will really get this started. So welcome. First of all, we are in our call to for Digital Product Fast Track. We are going to help build your sales page live on today's call so that you have your digital product ready for pre-sale and you can announce it and actually send people to a sales page and have them check out in the whole nine by the end of today. It's going to be so fantastic. So thank you so much for being here. I have brought a ton of Teachable support with me because you should have seen the chat roll this morning. It was wild. So I'm so glad that we have a ton of Team Teachable on here to help you guys with questions as well. I'm going to have Truman join me. Truman is going to be walking through the technical aspects of building out your sales page. And I will be here to assist and answer strategy questions at the end. So get those questions rolling. Truman.
All right. Yeah. So, hey, everybody. If anybody missed me on the call this morning, I'm a product designer at Teachable and know the sales page very well. So I'm happy to walk y'all through it. So let me set this up here and go ahead and share my screen. All right. Can everybody see this?
Yeah.
Great. So to my understanding, everybody should have a product, right? So whether it's a course or a coaching or a digital download, you're going to want to start by finding your product because each product will have a sales page associated with it. So we're on a demo school here, and I'm just going to pick one of these products to demo how to build out the sales page. And you'll see here in the setup guide, if we scroll down, there is a sales page that is automatically created for every product that you have, but it's created with dummy content. So we're going to go ahead and edit that dummy content, which will bring us into the sales page editor. This one has some that we've put together for advanced sourdough techniques. And if you want another place, another way to find that page within the course or the product that you have selected, you can always go to sales pages, where you can view the sales page, the checkout page, the thank you page. And maybe we like this one, we'll keep that. I'm going to go ahead and do a new sales page. So we'll just build it from the template. Go ahead and hit next. And our sales page is created. So just as a quick kind of walkthrough of the sales page editor that we're seeing here, on the right side is a preview of what the sales page looks like. So this is all of the dummy content that we have in here. And you can scroll through and you can click on things. And then on the right is the actual different sections of the sales page. So we call them blocks. You can go ahead and you can add a new block. And they're all just different types of content for how you want to structure and sell your product. We're going to be recreating actually a boss project page here. So I'm going to go through and just kind of demo a few of these specific blocks. And we are going to start with the banner here. So you can see that there's a background image. And I'm going to go ahead and replace that with one that I have downloaded. You can click here and it'll take you to upload a file, but also if you have your Finder window and you want to just drag these in, that works too. So I'll go ahead and drag in this banner image, hit upload. Great. So now we have the banner image in here, but you can see this text is white. So white on a white background, not the most easy to read. So let's go ahead here and we can change the text color as well as the text itself. So I'm going to go ahead and first throw in the text that I want for this banner. And that is the heading text. And then for the subheading text, I'm going to throw this in here. Cool. So nice. It's black. It's readable on the background. One thing you might notice though is it looks a little squished. So what we can do is go from the content tab here into the design tab. So switching to the design tab will let me change a variety of things. If I want to change the image opacity, I could do that, but I really like this image, right? And maybe one way I can make this a little easier to read is to expand the content width. So currently, everything that I have in here, everything in the content tab is being constricted to 668 width, but let's try 900. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so that's not bad. Maybe 800 is a nice in between. So now we have everything above the chair and the laptop here. It's all in the white space. It's easy to read. And I think we are good for that text there. So if we go back to the content, you'll see there's also a section for this button, right? So it says show button. So it says show button. It also has a button action and a URL that I can set. And if we want that to say, go to a checkout URL, we can copy and paste that checkout link. And then we can make the button something a little nicer, like get started. Cool. So this will now, when it's clicked, take any customers to the checkout page. And if you want to see this in action, just to make sure it's all working great, you'll see that the draft was saved up here. I can publish it, but maybe I want to preview it first. So click and preview. We'll show a version of the page that we just created. And if I click this, get started, great. It is now going to the checkout that I wanted. So we'll go back to this tab and let's continue editing the sales page. So the next section that we want actually is this text section. So I'm gonna take it from here and actually move it above this section, which is image with text. So if I grab this little, these 6 dots, this little anchor, bring that up there, pushes image with text down. Great. Now I have it where I wanted, right under the banner. And I can go ahead now and start editing this block here. So first things first, let's go ahead and put in the content that we want. And you can see, unlike the banner block, which has the heading text and the subheading text separated, in the text block, you have it all just kind of grouped into one. So you can style some things as headers, some things as normal, smaller text, however you want to do it. Let's copy in first the heading text that we want. And we want to make sure that is heading 3, I think looks good. And then similarly, we want to get in the text that we want here. So copy and paste it from your document or wherever you have it. And cool. Again, looking a little squished for the amount of text that we want. So let's go ahead and update that content to something like 800, just to give ourselves a little bit more breathing room. And maybe we bump down by adding a line break and hitting enter return so that this content's a little bit better spaced out. One other thing that I'm not loving right now is this background color. So if I go into the design tab and I choose a background color that looks a little bit nicer, let's try this here. So you can click this section right here. You can see like a preview of the color, and you can mess around with it and you can get any combination of colors that you want. But if you have an exact color that you want to put in there, you can copy and paste it, and then boom, the hex code is in there, updates the background color, and you're good to go. One other thing that we want to do here is have a button under this text. So let's say the banner wasn't enough to convince somebody that they wanted to, move forward with this product. Maybe what they read here. Oh, I'm getting a bit of an echo. Let's see. Okay, I think it's gone. Great. So if this content is engaging enough and people want to buy, maybe let's put a button here, right? So I believe we have a button that already exists, but if not, what we can do is go back to this add new block, and I want a button. So it gives me a little preview of what it would look like. If I like it, I'll hit add, and now I can start messing with it. But first, I want to move it right underneath the text section. So great. So now I can kind of make these look like they're one section together. First thing I might want to do is just get that background to have the same color. But you'll see it's a little bit spaced out. So if I go back to the text section, I can just remove that bottom and make that 0 if my computer lets me. And then maybe increase the bottom on the button to 60, maybe even 80. Okay, now it's a little bit better spaced. Maybe if I go further, that's looking, I think, much better. So now it looks like this is all one section, but why do we have the button? We want to actually have the user click the call to action, the CTA. So I'm going to take that same checkout URL. I'm going to paste that here. And then instead of let's get started, let's say, let's do it. And great. So now this section is done. And you can tweak it, the spacing a little bit more, if you say want to have less spacing on the bottom for the text, you can always remove this here. But I think it's fine for now. The next section or block that we're going to talk about is the image with text block. So this is great for when you kind of have a lot of, bullet points or content that you want to get across, but pair it with an image to not make it so heavy, right? So first thing we're going to want to do is upload an image that we have for this. So I'll go back to Finder. I'm going to upload this image here. Hit upload and great. So now it's replaced what was there. And we have the text on this side here. So next, I'm going to go down to heading text and copy in the text that I want. Okay. And then I have some body text that I want to copy as well. So I can do Command or Control to select all of that or double click and paste that in there. Okay, so now the copy's in there, but it's not the easiest to read, right? By default, this is centering all of the text. So if I want to change that, I can go into the Design tab, and instead of text alignment being center, I'm just going to change that to left. Cool. So that looks a little bit better, right? But I think there's still some improvements we can make to the spacing here. So one thing I want to do is adjust the top, bottom, and gutter width. So the top and bottom is the same the way we're doing it here. So let's go ahead and let's try making that 80. So let's double it. We're going to make the bottom 80 as well. And this looks better now in terms of, spacing it from the different sections, but this gutter width is still a little too close. So let's go half of 80 and let's see how 40 looks. Not bad. Is 80 too much? Maybe, maybe not. Split the difference, go 60. You can play with this yourself and see, what feels right to you. And also you can mess with the border radius if you say wanted to give it a little softer touch so the corners aren't feeling so pointy. You're free to do that as well. The last thing I'm going to suggest we do here is give a little bit more space between this headline and the text below it. So I can do that by going to the top of my text section here, and I can just hit enter. And now it's adding basically an empty line. And this is feeling a little bit better spaced out, right? A little easier to read. Somebody's scrolling down, they'll see the headline, and then they'll jump into the bullet points and then hopefully read further. So this is great. And it's so good that we're going to want to do another one. Oh, one thing I want to do first is actually change the background color. So it's nice that the background color is different here, but let's do something a little nicer than just a plain white. So how about this color here? Sort of a nice canvasy color. I think it fits well with the brand. And then I really like this layout. We just did a bunch of work to get this spaced out exactly how we want it. So instead of, just recreating this, what we can do is go down in the page block section and this image with text block. For more, if you click on that, you'll see this little menu pop up and I can hit duplicate. So that has now copy and pasted basically this same block at the bottom. And if I drag it up, it'll be right underneath what we did. So I have some more content that I want to put in here. We've got an About Us section, but as the user scrolls down, it's not great if they're seeing kind of the same layout, right? So we can upload the image for the About section. And even though it's a different image, it still feels a little bit too similar. So one thing that we can do is go to the layout option here and change that to right image. So now there's a little bit of, breaking up of the content when the user scrolls down. And let me put in the updated headline here for About Us. And the updated text at the bottom here. Great. I'm going to go ahead again and add a little space there. But let's see. Just make sure the spacing looks good. Maybe it looks better without that space. I think that looks pretty nice. And it's always good to, when you copy over, just like double check that everything was formatted correctly. Because depending on the Google Doc or the Word doc that you're using, things might be adding extra lines and that sort of thing. So that's always good to do when you are copying stuff over. Yeah, I think this section's looking pretty good. So we have our top banner. We have the text and the button underneath. We have one image with text section, another image with text section, and we're going to do one more of these. But to break it up again, we're going to want to do one with the picture on the left. So I'm going to duplicate that first one because that already has the picture on the left. Drag that up. All right. And, we've used the same background color for these two sections. So let's change up that background color a little bit. I'm going to find the color that we want to use here. And then again, go into the design tab. And I'm going to paste in something that's just a little bit darker and kind of breaks up the content for the user, which is nice. And so this section here has a new image. So if I go ahead and do replace image, hit upload. Great. So we got the image in there that we want. We have the new background color, but let's change the text. So go back to heading text, and I'm going to copy in what I want here. And this actually has two headlines. So what you can see here is that we have this one as heading 5. And when you click on the heading option, you can see kind of the different sizes. So heading 5 is like the smallest one. So it's almost reading as like a little label, and that allows for us to have the details be heading 3, which is a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder. And then we're going to go also and update the text down here. And this text has actually a bunch of bullet points. So you can see when I pasted that in.
Truman, really quick.
Yeah.
I think several people are struggling with following along. It's a bit fast.
Sure.
So just to pause for a second to get you guys caught up. For those of you who have questions, Truman's using copy from one of our sales pages, but you should have your copy doc filled out at this point in the challenge. So I encourage you to utilize the copy that you pre-wrote for this, and you can pop it in. After this call, I would then go back and adjust some of the spacing and colors. I think getting the bones in there first will make that a bit faster. But if you have any specific questions about a setting he's adjusting, we can always go back and revisit that. But overall, I just wanted to pause for a second so people could catch up. And yeah, so the sales page copy that you wrote would go here. Yes, he's just using our copy for a very similar layout for a digital product. So All right, Truman, I'll let you take it away again, and we'll get back to your technical questions here at the end, but I just wanted to give everybody a second to catch up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Stop me anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions that need be, and I can try to slow things down a little bit. And for reference, this is me editing a sales page. So not the homepage, but the homepage does have a lot of the same elements that you can use. So to pick back up, we have added the content that we want for this section. And as you can see here, we have the bullet points. So luckily, when we copied this in from our Word document, it understood that we had these bullet points. But if not, what you can do is select the different paragraphs that you want to style as bullet points. And then you go up to this bullet point option here. So you have the kind of the bullets with the lines versus the numbers with the lines. It's a little hard to see. But if you click that button, automatically it has made all of these into bullet points, which are a little easier to scan. All right, so the next section that we want to create is another banner section. So just to recap, we have the initial banner section, which has, you know, kind of the pitch that gets started. Hopefully people click on that. If not, you know, giving them a little bit more detail. If they still want more, we have these 3 image with text sections, which lay out, you know, everything that they're getting, who you are, and what the details are going to be for making their purchase. And as you notice, these don't have call to action buttons, right? So the last time we saw this was all the way up here. So we want another banner that just kind of has the final sell for the customer there. So we're going to do another banner section, but first I want to clean up all of these blocks down here that we don't actually need. They just came with the demo sales page content that gets created for us automatically. So using the more 3 dots here, I can just go ahead and click that and hit delete. So just deleting these blocks. As you can see, there's also a hide option. So if it's ever something that you feel like, oh, maybe I want to bring this back, maybe I want to try something, you can do the hide. But if you don't need it, feel free to go ahead and delete it. So I think the last section, we can actually just copy this banner here. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate that. And you'll see, you know, it's down here at the bottom. Great, but I think we actually want it to look a little different. We don't want to just use the same content. So let's start by replacing the image. So we have the bottom banner image here. We're going to go ahead and upload that. Cool. But we have kind of the opposite problem that we had before, where we have all of this, you know, picture in the background and this copy on top being black. Doesn't look super readable. So we're going to do actually a few things here. We're going to not only change the text color, but first we're going to add a background color of black. And then we're going to change the image opacity. So if you think about it, like, let me just delete this real quick. we've uploaded the image, but behind the image, if we turn the opacity all the way down, you just have a black section. But if you go halfway, now you have the image on top of the black section. And now we can actually see the image, but it's not super standing out, right? You have the button on top. And if we go back to the content, I can start adding in my content and we can see what this looks like on top. So the content, when I pasted it in, came in gray, not looking super readable. But if I highlight all of this and I hit the little A with the underline, this will bring up the color picker. And what I can do is change that to white. And this all of a sudden is looking a lot better, right? Now I can see that it says, let's do this. Grab the viral Instagram reel formula and the 2-click funnel. But I also want to highlight some additional offers. So I have this pre-sale price. I'm going to paste that in here. And again, want to make sure that is showing as white. So if I select the text and hit that A again, and then make that white, now I have it showing how I would like. But let's say, you know what, I think it's still fighting a little bit too much with the background here. So I'm going to go back to the design tab and kind of tweak and really figure out how much of the image do I want to show and what is going to be visible. And you can grab this and change it yourself. You can also enter, you know, a little tick here. So let's say 0.4. Yeah, I think that looks good. But one thing I'm also noticing is the spacing here is a little bit close to the image. So I'm going to add a little top and bottom to this. Let's see how that does. Okay, yeah. I think that's mostly fine. Last thing I want to do is change this from get started because we have that a lot. I really want to hit that pre-sale price. So I'm going to change this text here to download now, and then just call out the price again and say $47. And so because we already copied this block, already the button action is going to the URL, which is the checkout, which I previously pasted in. And we should be good to go. So I'm going to go back and take a look at everything that we just did. So again, you can go up here. My draft has been saved. If I hit preview, this opens in a new tab. And so you can do preview as public. So it's letting me know, like, if I'm just somebody who comes to this site for the first time, this is what I'm going to be getting, right? So let's do a quick scroll through. Looks pretty good. Testing out all the buttons. Okay, great. They're all opening checkout. And it's always good to just do this little preview step because you never know what you might catch. For instance, here, I'm noticing this text looks a little bit lighter than this black here and this black here. So that's a great thing to kind of go back in and update. So if I go back to that previous tab, click on this section and this text, I can go ahead and make that the black that I want. Let's just go full black. And I'll do the same down here by selecting all the text hitting the A and then dragging this down so it's full black. Great. So now if we preview it, cool, it's looking good. And that can be it. That can be the end, you know, but if you are ready to go live and ready to have this URL be public, you can always go ahead and then do publish. So now the content is published and you can set the URL and edit it, you know, as needed. So let's say for this, we want to call this one "2-click funnel pre-save," something like that. Whatever makes sense for you and makes sense for your audience. You can hit publish and then you're good to go. So if I go back all the way back to the admin, refresh this page, here we have the page URL, 2-click funnel pre-save. I can go ahead and I can view it. And this is exactly, again, like that preview. I can also copy the URL link and put that in an email, put that wherever I need to share it around on social, and that sort of thing. And also, if you're making additional multiple sales pages, you can choose to make one of them primary. So let's say I want to make this one primary. So this will be the one that people are automatically taken to when they go to all the products that you have and click on, in this instance, advanced sourdough techniques. But yeah, that's pretty much the journey.
Yeah, it is a journey.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot, and he went through a ton of pieces. Honestly, it sounds more overwhelming to say all of those steps out loud. I promise you, when you sit down with your copy and you're just like copying and pasting into sections and adjusting a couple numbers here and there, it's going to feel a lot less crazy. But remember, you guys get to go at your own pace. And you know, we would love to see each of you launch today, but you have time. You have lifetime access to this course, and I want you to feel really confident about going to this pre-sale. The challenge is meant to get you to take action, and you've already done so much today, so I'm really excited for that. I do want to start with some of the technical questions that are more sales page related, and then we'll get into some additional strategy questions that weren't answered in the chat. So the first one, Truman, can you go back and show them exactly how to navigate to this sales page builder again?
Sure. Yeah. So there's a few ways to do it. And I can kind of show you the basics, but when you are starting at the dashboard, right? This is kind of what you see when you log in. You have your products here on the side navigation. So if it's a course that I want to go to, I'll click the courses tab. And this will show me all of the courses that I've created. From there, I'm going to select the course that has the sales page that I want to edit. And you might have the setup guide page here if you're still in the process of setting up your course. And you'll be able to scroll down, and we have this section here for sales page, and I can go directly in, hit edit sales page here, and it should load the admin. But also, if I want to get a sense of like all of the pages that I have for this product, I can go on the side nav again here to sales pages, and then it'll show me the sales page, the checkout, the thank you page, and I can, again, add more sales pages or do, again, that same editing here. And if you really want to see everything that's at your disposal, going back to the dashboard, but really from any page, you can click this site tab. And so this will take you to all the pages that you have. Starts off with the theme, which is your logo, your font family, your color. But if I go to pages here, these are the pages for my school. And for a product, I just select the product that I want from this dropdown, and then it allows me to see that product sales pages. And if I need to go to a different product, I can kind of switch real quickly here.
Yeah. And just from like a strategy standpoint, don't feel obligated to get every aspect of your site customized, because my goal for you with the launch would be to link directly to your product sales page, not necessarily another page. So that way you're limited to only needing to really customize one thing, but you can obviously go back and adjust these other things later. Okay, so in the sales page builder, someone was having issue on the banner image. They were saying their text had a background color, like the text, it's like it was highlighted. Is there a way to remove a highlight? I wasn't sure the quick answer to that, or
Interesting.
why that was happening. I'm guessing it was maybe something they copied over, but I
So I
don't.
will say, yeah, so if you haven't uploaded an image, right? So we have the image here, but again, if I bring the opacity down to 0, it's like the same as not having an image. Possibly it's this color that they're referring to. So this will be the background color if you don't have an image. And that could be it. But if it's just an example of the text color itself, again, you can just change that here in
Yeah.
this little A
And
section.
just as an FYI, anytime you have like extra formatting and you can't like figure out how to get rid of it, you can highlight it and hit that T with the X mark on it. And that will like remove formatting and just like go back to default. So that can help if you feel stuck. Okay. And then real quick, how do we change that button color again?
So the button color is actually determined by your school theme. So if I go back and I'm under site, when you click site, it automatically takes you to the theme page. So this is like the theme for your entire school. And this is like for consistency. You basically set it once, and then everywhere there's a button, it's going to be showing as that color. So for us here, we have the button color set to this kind of orangish red color. So if you want to change that button color specifically, it's going to change all the buttons that you have. And I believe, let me just double check. If I add a button specifically here, yeah, it's still using that site-wide button color. But again, we actually have like a little call out here, which will take you directly to your site theme where you can change that button color. So if you're ever stuck and you're trying to change it, you don't know where to go, this will show up in the button block. But if you don't want to go there, you just go site, theme, scroll down, and then just change it on your color palette.
This is more of an advanced question, but a couple of people asked if you could add a video or embed a video anywhere on the sales page.
So yeah, you can. So if I go back under sales page blocks and I do add new block, you'll see we kind of break this up into sections. So we have courses, basics, and layouts. But if I just do basics, this will be a video. You can get a little preview of what it looks like. You add it here. And then we have, again, the heading text and the description text, but also the ability to upload the video same way you would upload an image.
Awesome. Okay. Team, did I miss any that you felt like I needed to answer on the tech side, or should I switch over to strategy?
There is one for the dimensions. What are the dimensions for a banner image?
Okay. Yeah, so we can click over to that super quick.
Yeah, so I guess the question being like,
What's the optimal banner size? Does it say it when you go to upload it? I feel like it
I
does.
don't believe so.
Do you know what it is,
I can-
Caitlin, offhand?
I know what I made it in Canva, in that Canva template that we use. I'm pretty confident I made it 1500 pixels by maybe 800 tall. It's definitely in that Canva graphic, and you can see the size of the Canva graphic. But yeah, I'd recommend making it or maybe at least 1,000 pixels wide, just so it's not super pixelated, but you don't want it to be so big that it's, you know, a big file and kind of slows down your page load.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, I am going to, for now, take back over the screen and will Truman, you can stop your screen share if you want. And I'm going to go through and answer some strategy questions. I know this is a ton of information. Our goal with this is really to support you and your individual needs. So while we're ultimately answering a ton of people's questions, we know not everything applies to you. So take and choose what you need. And I'll be here as long as I need to be here to answer your questions. So I imagine the replay will get a little long, but I want to be as comprehensive as possible. So, starting with Debbie, where and how do you create your videos for a course? I love using a software called Loom. It is a paid software. They do have a free version, but I like that I can record and share my screen and share slides and also do my video at the same time. In the past, I've used QuickTime. That's completely free. You can even record content directly in Canva if that's something you have access to. But that's totally up to you. And if you have your mic on, I'd love if you'd mute yourself. All right. How do you decide on digital products if you haven't decided on an audience yet? Are there any tips to accelerate the experimentation phase? Yeah. So I would suggest if you're confused on who to market to, think about who do you already have access to? Like if you were to think about your friends and family or, you know, a following on a social platform, who is in that audience and what knowledge do you have that they need access to? Okay, real quick, I'm going to interrupt myself. Olivia has a quick support announcement, so I'm going to turn it over to her really quick, and then I will come back with strategy questions.
Thanks. I know everybody's hungry for strategy, but I wanted to jump in real quick and let you know our team is seeing all of the questions around tech and support challenges. So we're going to drop a form in the chat, a quick type form for you to fill out so we can follow up with you after. So anybody who is running into a payments issue, I know that has been sorted on our end. But if there's anything else that's coming up, we'll share a form in the chat for you to reach out to us. Thanks, Abigail.
Yeah. I'll also post that on YouTube so you guys have access to it. All right. So back to audience question. So who do you have access to and what are their main issues? But then also think about what problems can you solve that you're excited about solving? Like ultimately, I need you to be excited about what it is that you're launching. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I have changed and evolved my audience many times over 10 years. My goal here would be more that you make a decision and learn from this experiment. And if you decide that's not the ultimate audience you want to market to, I'm okay with that. I would much rather you get the experience of going through this launch process than getting hung up on step 0. Okay. What type of digital product can I create and sell via Teachable? Is a digital product a course? Can it be an ebook, PDF, etc.? Okay, so with Teachable, you have pretty endless opportunities for what you can sell. There are like specific setups when you get into it where you could pick digital product, course, coaching, that kind of thing. But when you pick a digital product, you can both sell an upload. So any sort of document that could be an audio file, a PDF. I mean, pretty much anything that you can upload, a zip file. so that, or you can actually sell access to a specific URL. So if you had something super creative hosted elsewhere, you could still sell access to that elsewhere. I think that courses can be digital products, but for the sake of setup, if you're actually going to make a course, I would use the course tab and not the digital product tab. But I do think you can market a mini course as a digital product. Ultimately, a digital product is anything that you can make and deliver virtually. So if you're not performing a service and someone could access it online, it's probably a digital product. I don't have Instagram. Do I need one? Will LinkedIn work? Will Pinterest work? If you don't have Instagram, that's okay. I would utilize the social media platform that you are the most active and engaged on. LinkedIn is a great option, especially if you're trying to reach a more professional group of people. Pinterest is also an option, but I would consider Pinterest more of a search engine than a social media platform. So it's going to help you get traffic, but it's not going to help you create community necessarily, which I think often is an important part of a launch. I want to launch multiple products to multiple audiences. Can I do that? Well, technically you can do whatever you want. You don't need my permission. That was rule number 1 of the challenge today. But do I think to get the most success that's a good plan? I don't think it'd start there. Ultimately marketing multiple products is a lot easier than marketing to multiple audiences. I would suggest narrowing the audiences, and then you can develop as many products for that audience that you want. If you choose to market to multiple audiences, know that likely will mean you will need duplicates of a lot of things. Social media platforms, potentially websites, potentially, like it can just get kind of hairy kind of quickly. So I would try to narrow that in as much as possible. What if I'm already in a saturated market? How do I grab attention? If I already have a digital product in Teachable, can we use that? Can we use what we learned today to help get sales for that? I feel like this is a couple of questions, but if you're in a saturated market, your biggest differentiator is you and your unique approach. Now, ultimately, I teach how to help people grow businesses online. I talk a lot about digital products and courses and services and everything in between. There's plenty of people in that space, like so many people in that space. I think there's room for everyone, and you need to figure out how you want to show up. Showing up in your values is going to give you a unique edge, but also, do you have a unique spin on something that's common? So like, for instance, if we were talking about how to build a digital product, you could search that on Instagram and find 150 people that'll all want to teach you how to build a digital product. My goal with helping you build a digital product is that it's helping you bring in people that are going to be qualified leads for other offers, whether they exist now or they're going to exist in the future. I want you to get paid to bring in leads. And that's my unique differentiator. And you're not necessarily going to find that in a bunch of other places. So think about how your approach is different and use that as a marketing leverage point. If you already have a digital product in Teachable, can we use what we learned today to get sales from it? Absolutely. I go over copy that converts. You might want to edit your sales page based on the content you learned today. I also talk a lot about marketing and your launch announcement posts. You're welcome to use that copy, as well as a bonus 2-week launch plan at the end. So definitely take advantage of that. I've had several questions about how long you get access. And you will get access to the content for life. Like, I'm not kicking you out anytime soon. So while we'd love to see you utilize this content today, this week, take your own pace. You got access. You can come back to it at any time. Can I use the $1 promo if I'm on the free or basic Teachable account? Yes. So if you're on the free or basic account, you want to go to your subscription and hit upgrade to pro on the checkout page. Use code Boss Project 2024, and I'll have my team drop the Loom walkthrough on where to find that in your account. How long will the dollar offer be valid for? I mean, we're going to be offering this through next week. Let's see, the 10th of May. But if you're watching the replay, you probably just click the link as long as the link works. I didn't say anything. I didn't say that, but you heard me. Anyway, do you need to get the pro plan to do this challenge? Not necessarily. You could technically go through the whole challenge and launch with the free plan. Keep in mind, if you launch with the free plan, you're limited to 10 clients. So it's going to help you get those initial 10 sales, and then you're going to want to upgrade to at least basic. But you could complete the entire challenge and get sales without any official account. And you can technically sell on any platform. Do I need to buy more systems? No, I don't think so. I'm pretty confident that we've included everything you need to get your digital product launched today. So you have access to the full plan, as well as the host Teachable to host your product and get it out there and sold. So no, not necessarily. Do I think you're going to need some over time and like in business? Probably. Like I have plenty of other systems and softwares that I use. Like Flowdesk is my favorite email platform. I utilize Zapier all the time to connect different things and talk about them together. I host my website on Squarespace. But do I think you need any of those other softwares or tools to get your product launched? No. Can Teachable be used to develop an interactive workbook? For example, include decision trees, and at the end, someone could print a PDF. So I was a little bit confused by this question, but ultimately, you can upload pretty much anything. If you want your product to be interactive, you may need to kind of host things in other ways. One of my favorite tools, though, if you want an interactive workbook specifically where someone could like fill it out and make adjustments and make it their own, we often will use Google Docs, and you can have someone copy their own Google Doc into their account, and then it's completely fillable and customizable. And in terms of decision trees, you could include graphs or pictures or whatever you need to make and illustrate your point. But there's lots of softwares out there that can help make things interactive, and then you could sell access to that URL like I mentioned earlier. Does Teachable provide funnel building? Do I need both? I'm thinking I need to create a funnel first, then lead that into the Teachable course I create. So, you know, ultimately, do you need a funnel? I think you're probably making funnels way too complicated. My favorite funnel is a 2-click funnel, which I talk about in this program, where I'm specifically taking cold traffic and funneling them via social media directly to a sales page. Do you need like a whole email thing with a webinar and like all these other checkpoints? No. Like, honestly, people are so attuned to the sales process these days. They want access. Like if they're ready to buy, they just want to move forward with the process. And having a long and complicated sales process is actually slowing down your potential success. So I like having things as accessible as possible. It doesn't mean you can't build an email funnel after the fact, but for this specifically, the 2-week launch plan that I go over, I have taken that 2-week launch plan exactly, done it live, and then taken that content and then made my funnel, basically just my emails, utilizing the emails I sent live after the fact. So I would do it live first. It's way easier to do something live first and then make it evergreen than it is to do it in reverse. Someone asked, are we covering order bumps? We're not necessarily in the content, but they're super easy to set up. So if you're interested in adding an order bump, you can just Google Teachable order bump setup, and you'll find a knowledge base article super, super quick. In general, the way you would need to be able to set it up is you have to have another product ready for sale. So you would need to have the other product set up with like a price. And as soon as it's set up, then you can link it in the order bump area of your specific product. But the knowledge base is probably going to go over that in more detail than I will here. For a digital ebook that is a PDF format, how do you protect it from customers sharing it with their friends? So one of the really cool things about Teachable is all of the people that purchase your products are creating their own login. And you know, if you have your product within the product downloadable, then theoretically someone could log in, download it, and share it. However, you can also protect that. Like, you get to decide what content is downloadable. So if you do not want your video or your PDF or whatever to be downloadable, then theoretically they would have to have login access to that content. And, you know, I think that really tends to discourage people from sharing it. You know, can someone still probably figure out a way around it? Yeah, but people are savvy, but also the likelihood of that happening is way lower than you're like making it out to be in your head. If you have a school already, do I set up a new course for those students? Sorry, the question's a little confusing. I just set up a new course. I already have thousands of students. Will they see this one in addition to new ones? It depends. So if you publish a new product in your Teachable school, it will be listed and published and available for purchase on the front end. If the thousands of students you already have, if they have not enrolled specifically or like purchased that product specifically, they will not automatically have access. So I add new products all the time, and my old students aren't like getting auto added to those things. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about that. Omar. Oh, wait. Michelle, if I already have an ebook complete, can I skip at the pre-sale and do a pre-sale in the future? If you have your ebook complete, I would still do the launch plan that I cover for a live launch. The main difference is that you just wouldn't be offering, you wouldn't call it a pre-sale. You would just say you're launching the thing. You could still launch it on beta though, and give someone a discounted price point if you wanted to. Omar, you suggest in the how to choose your product video that we do the option of solving the problem directly before our other existing offers for an existing audience. But I want to get the fastest results possible and don't have much of a current audience. Although I have work experience that I can base something off of, I want to build something quickly and easily. What would work? You know, when in doubt, I know a couple people have asked about this. When in doubt, the thing that's going to be easiest for you to create is likely the thing that's going to be easiest for you to sell. So like, if there's a subject matter that you know like the back of your hand and could talk about it for ages, even if your audience for that is low, you are going to build an audience by selling this. And I know it feels like in reverse, like I need an audience and then I can sell to them. Like, how are you going to build an audience if you don't have any specific content that you're talking about, like, or subject matter that you're talking about. This is going to give you context for all the kind of content that you could create to attract that person. Okay. Brenda, can you discuss if or how this could be used as a subscription project? Yeah, so you have options for any product, digital product, course, coaching. You can do one of two things. You can either take an individual product and add a pricing plan that's subscription based. So like you could access this digital product for $7 a month or whatever. You could sell one-off access on a subscription basis to an individual product. Or you can use Teachable's membership features, which allow you to bundle as many different products, courses, and coaching offers that you want, and then sell it at a subscription price point. It's just like the selling part of selling a subscription is just a little more nuanced because you're more likely to get a pushback. It's much easier. Like if we're talking about entry point, it is much easier to sell a one-time offer than it is to sell a subscription offer. All of a sudden, price point is going to be a potential objection for people. It's not that it can't be done, and it's not that I don't do it. Membership's over half of my revenue. Okay, if we haven't designed the actual product yet, how would we have the details for the sales page? So Gail, I would make sure you're going through the content in order. We walk through picking your digital product and then all of the copy sections before you get to the sales page build. So if you haven't got through the content up until this video, you might be a little bit confused. But if you had gotten to the point where you had your copy written, this should go pretty seamlessly. Ultimately, you're going to have the details because you're going to know what's going into it. You may not have built it, but you're going to know the contents. Kayla, a good price point for an entry point digital product like a guide. I do talk about price point in a video lesson. I definitely recommend watching that. My suggestions tend to be under $100, but guides, I personally am a big fan of the $29 price point, but you do you. And I talk about psychology and how to pick price in that video, so would recommend watching that. I gotta get a drink of water. You guys, I'm gonna lose my voice today. Okay. Tosh, with digital products, are the purchasers able to download the product, or does it have to be viewed directly on the platform? That's up to you. You get to decide. I've done it both ways. Okay, can you explain the logistics in regard to releasing the pre-sale and sales page? What does that look like in the whole grand scheme of things? Okay, so with the sales page that we built on this call, you are going to find the URL. I definitely recommend you take that URL and you make a bit.ly or a trackable link. You can use other similar softwares, but bit.ly is free, to my knowledge, unless they change that, but it's been free. And you don't have to have a trackable link. I just like it so you know conversion rates later, but nonetheless, you're going to know that bit.ly so that you can send traffic to it. And then your launch post, I walk through what copy I would utilize. When you send them a link to the actual digital product, you will be sending them to the sales page. So you'll need the bit.ly so you know where you're sending your traffic to. If you have an existing website and you want to incorporate your sales pages from Teachable, I recommend just cross-linking your website. My Teachable website, Teachable pages are like interwoven all over my current site. someone would typically just click a link or a button and it would take them to a specific page. I try to take people to specific URLs when possible. My one suggestion for that, if you're taking someone to a page that's not on your existing site, it is best practice that you click the button that says open in a new tab. You will make your users far less frustrated with you. But I'm a previous web designer, so I get hung up on little details like that. Okay. For a pre-sales page like this, when you go back and manually revise it to the full price or unpublish the page when the pre-sale is over, I would absolutely just update the price point and change the date. So I would just change that details section and adjust the price points. If you're linking to a coupon page, then I would maybe change the URL, but we always just edit the live page. We're not necessarily like duplicating a million times because we want to utilize the same link so that if we posted about it weeks ago and someone comes after the pre-sale is over, they're still landing on that product. It's just now at a different price point. Wilda, I've been to several events like this. However, I didn't have 270 people show up. What was your ad spend? I don't know if you're going to like my answer. So we've had over 6,000 people sign up for this event. Live attendance is always a little bit different for different types of things, but we've spent $0 on ad spend. Teachable and I both have large existing audiences. This was marketed primarily to people that were already on both of our lists. Did we add people to our list as a result of it? Totally. But we didn't spend any money on ads. What we did do was target a problem that we knew our ideal client had and focus really, really heavily on how we could help solve their problems. And when you help solve people's real problems, they show up clearly. So, are there sweet spots for course length that tend to have more success? Course completion, course engagement. You know, it really depends. Like, I could have, and I probably will later this year, ultimately end up developing a course on courses. But course length is pretty dramatically dependent on the problem you're solving. So you need to, in your course, whatever problem you're solving, you need to solve it in the most complete fashion possible, but in the quickest way to get there. So like fastest route, the whole problem. And so in terms of length, the longer the course, the less likely is someone to complete it ultimately. So the shorter your content, the more likely someone is to finish. I would say if the content is, if you plan to do a mini course specifically for a digital product, I would limit your content to no more than 2 hours. And have them be able to complete the content in no more than 2 days. Like do the work. But that's just from my experience. I've had courses that take people 6 months to implement. It just really, really, really depends on price point and who you're selling to and what you're trying to accomplish. What do you think of offering a free product before offering a paid product? Don't do it. Don't do it. I mentioned this in the morning call, but if you haven't listened to my podcast that came out recently, on, let me get the exact name again, how I got 364 free leads from one Instagram reel in less than 24 hours. I talk a lot about why I build my products in reverse and like why I build the paid offer before I build the free offer. There's a lot of reasons that go into that why, and it took me 45 minutes to walk through it. But the shortest possible way to explain this is when you have someone pay, they are creating more buy-in, and they're more likely to actually utilize the thing that you've put out into the world. Meaning you're going to get more user feedback, and that user feedback is going to inform the thing that I would ultimately then create for free. If you create something for free, like a ton of people may consume it, but like follow through is dramatically lower. Like even just charging $11 versus $0, you would be shocked the difference in implementation. So I definitely recommend starting for free. Okay. Let's see. I'm catching my breath. Okay. Instagram is very photo and image focused platform. Any advice on how to not feel and look bad on it? What things should new users be aware of? So it is a photo and image focused platform. I do have a podcast again. I'll have my team link it in the notes and we'll link it in the replay. I talk about the rise of faceless content. There's options. Like, do you have to use your picture and your video in every single thing that you do? I don't necessarily think so. But it is a lot to feel like you have to look and feel professional all the time. That being said, Instagram specifically is thriving on things that look like they were created in the app. So you looking like you look on a day-to-day basis versus you looking like you look for a photo shoot, for your wedding, for a, you're all done up and dolled up, that content performs less than the content that looks like it's every day, at least for right now. And I would just know that your words mean a lot to people. And so focus on the storytelling and you'll get better at the images and video over time. But I get that it's intimidating to put yourself out there. I do talk a little bit about that fear that comes up. We have it currently linked in the bonus section. I think it'll probably move around after this event and be in the pre-launch, but it's called Overcoming Obstacles, and I do talk about fear specifically. So definitely worth checking that out. How do you retarget to old students? So Bernice, this is where having an email list is a really fantastic opportunity, because you can take purchases and then add them to an email service provider. I use Flowdesk, and then I add them from Teachable to Flowdesk via Zapier. Then I'm able to market via email to those people. That being said, you can send updates, some minor stuff. You can't do like email marketing, but you can send updates specifically to students of an existing product. Should you change your digital product if it doesn't sell well? So I actually talk about this in the launch debrief section, like in great detail. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. I think I did a much better, more rested, well thought out job in that module than I could say right now. So I definitely recommend watching that. But there's a couple different avenues, and it's going to totally depend on how much traffic you had, and there's a lot of components, but I go over it in detail in the debrief section. What is the best way to link the upsell or add this additional info the buyer can use or need? So linking the upsell, it's like literally a setting in your course or digital product. I think we've had enough questions. I might make a little video on how to do that, but it's technical, so I'm not going to go over it on this call. But we can do a follow-up on it. I'm going to just make a note. are courses or webinars more popular, have the most attendees in your opinion? No. Well, not webinars. I don't think live events are as well attended as they used to be. Not that you can't do a live event, but I definitely prefer selling on Evergreen initially. It also depends on your price point. So like if you're selling a product under $100, I don't think you need a webinar at all. In fact, you're just like slowing down the sale. If you were selling a $10,000 offer, then adding something like a training or an activation ahead of that offer may make a ton of sense. But if your focus is on attendance, there's so much nuance to this, Jenna. I'm trying to think of how I would answer it vaguely. Are you saying courses or webinars, like picking, like a training versus a course?
Yeah, I do webinars, but I'm a speaker coach. And so I go and meet people and do presentation training at their organizations, but I've also done it online. So I have a lot of information. That's where I'm stuck, is like, I can't focus on like, should I just do a webinar or, a couple of webinars?
Yeah, so you could do a paid training and like pay to have people attend. I have found that like I will do a paid training and then chop it up into a course after the fact. So sometimes I want to like teach it live the first time and like see how stuff lands and what people's questions are and get like a ton of intel from that experience. And then after the fact, my program manager and I will reverse engineer that into like, how do we break this down into smaller modules? In like beta version might just literally be timestamps to various things that you're talking about. But over time, you may decide to re-record that content with all this additional input that people are getting stuck in a certain area, that kind of thing. I revisit stuff, I would say, every 3 to 6 months.
Thank you. Yeah, I've been doing this for more than a decade, so I've got a lot of questions, and so it's too many. It's like too many.
Yeah. Well, my one thing with that, I would be careful that you're not trying to answer too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sitting here and I'm answering too many questions right now. Like I'm really hesitant to put this on Evergreen because this is too much content for someone to consume. So do I think it's helpful for the people attending live? Yeah. Do I think for Evergreen, like I might leave this up for 2 weeks for the people to consume that are here and we're part of it and whatever. But for my sanity and to know people are actually going to get through it, I'll probably record a new way to build the sales page out because I think that'll be the best version for people to get results.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Rachel, I'm a performing artist and my company creates online hybrid and live experiences for people who want unique and artistic interactive experiences that privilege mindfulness and connection. In the context of artistic product, I'm struggling to solve a problem that my audiences may be having. What they need more poetry in their lives. How do I frame a digital product as both an artist and a marketer? So the thing with art is it makes the limitations really endless. You could sell a digital product that is just a compilation of poetry. That absolutely counts as a digital product. I am just of the camp that it's going to be easier to sell something when you do solve a problem. Is it required to make something sellable? No. People buy all sorts of things. People buy knowledge, people buy relationships, people buy health and wellness, people buy connection. Like people buy for all sorts of reasons. I just know from a sales perspective, to get you from point A to B, it's typically easier to solve a problem. I would say for you, what are you just feeling really drawn to? because intuitively you feeling drawn to it is more important in the end game. So you specifically mentioned poetry. I feel like you should do something with poetry. And if you want to teach them something, you could teach them how to write poetry. Like you can teach them how to do more of these artful activities. But that's up to you. There's plenty of people that teach art and craft and skill. Do you have a course or podcast on how to enhance our social platforms such as Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram? Yeah, I totally do. My course is specific to Instagram, but you can check out Instagram Profit Playbook if you go to bossproject.com/playbook. It's also available inside the coaching offer I mentioned. So you can check out that at bossproject.com/jump. There's a lot of URLs in my mind, but if you were to select the pro plan, you would automatically get access to that in addition to Digital Product Jumpstart. So that's like a great next step if you want both. Simone, I want to sell a number of DIY templates for common legal issues, but I also want to sell courses where I explain how to use the template. Would it be appropriate to offer the template as an initial digital product at the low price and then offer the course for an additional fee? Totally. Absolutely. I think that's a great way to split it up. I will say, I am a big believer of the camp that if you sell a digital product, it should include what they need to use it. So like, for instance, we sell a ton of design templates for Adobe and Canva and Google and blah, blah, blah. I could go into all the platforms. That's irrelevant. But all of those include the download where you could just copy it into your account. But we do include a walkthrough video that covers the basics. That being, yeah. So that being said, I don't necessarily think that has to be comprehensive. That could just be like, how do you use this template? But then your course could be a bit more in depth into the nuances and like all of these additional things they may need to know. And you could position that either as an upsell or even something outside of that. But there's a ton of options out there for how to pursue that. Does that make sense? I know she was unmuted.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I was saying,
yeah. Yeah, no, you're good.
I think the biggest thing is because I ultimately want to do a course, basically I want to do a course teaching people how to do background checks on people like boyfriends, girlfriends, whomever. But I think that would be a little too much for me to launch as my first item.
I agree. That's a beefy first item. I would think about instead, like how can you make a digital product? I know you want to get into lots of legal issues, but how could you create a digital product that would be for the same audience? So like if you're trying to sell this someone who's dating and is like worried about all the fraudy people. P.S. My mom is 65. It is rough out there in the dating world. Just saying. Anyway, she's having a hell of a time. Literally 9 out of 10 guys are spam, fraud, trying to take her money. It's insane. So back to my point. If you were talking and selling to my mother and you were going to try to sell her this course on how to do background checks, what does she need before that? Like, is it like dating safety checklist? Is it like things, like maybe it's like a how to stalk your date online so you don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can you make
I could share like an affiliate link to some inexpensive software that could let you do like a preliminary search.
Totally.
So I guess a checklist that might have
so you could do things. Yeah. So in the checklist, you could have a link to this affiliate product embedded in it for how they could do a quick search. And then you could still have a course later. But I think I love upselling in my digital products, especially to affiliate links. So I think that's a great opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah. Lisa, any thoughts on naming your business? I have a lot of thoughts on naming businesses. Couple things. It doesn't matter. like, unless you're trying to make yourself highly searchable, it doesn't really matter. I would lean towards how can you make your business name either descriptive, so someone knows what it is that you do or what that you might sell. I also am a big fan of just using your first and last name as a starting point. And then if you develop something over time, great. And then beyond that, I think short names, things that are easy to remember, things that are easy to spell, things that the URL is available for, all impact how I would name something. So Boss Project was not my first business name. It used to be Think Creative Collective, and I love that, and a lot of people still do, but that was so long, like the URL was insanity, like so long. So I went with Boss Project, and that URL cost me like $3,500. So it's not always cheap to have clever and short names. So your personal name is usually a good place to start. How can your personal brand be merged with a company brand? That is like a whole ass podcast right there, man. I'm trying to think if I have anything from the beginning of the year where I kind of talk about that, because I definitely personally shifted from a company brand back to a personal brand after years of just being a company brand. I'll have my team think about it and see if they have any thoughts on what is a good resource. But
I was looking, I think you may have talked about it in the Faceless Marketing. I'll put that link in there again, but anything around that time as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure I talked about it earlier this year. But in general, you got to remember that people buy access to people. Like, they don't want your stuff. Like, unless you're selling products, like tangible products. If someone's buying digital products, courses, especially, they want access to you and your knowledge and what you have to offer. And so I think they're more interchangeable than you're probably giving yourself credit for. So don't be afraid to show up, use your face, use your name, act like a person talking to another person. But that doesn't mean you can't use something like we when referring to your team or your business at large. Scott, how do you recommend packaging training and courses? What is the process? Detail oriented. I'm in career development. So in terms of packaging, do you mean like bundling? I'm curious. Olivia, thank you so much for all your help today. Is Scott still here? Do we know? I'm not sure. So Scott, if you're still watching, I would just say if you are wanting to package up training and courses, I would think about how do you want to deliver it, and like how can you solve the whole problem that needs to be solved. If you're going to package things together, how can you give them the fastest path to get there? If you're talking about like logistics, you can use things like bundles, and inside Teachable, you can bundle multiple products together and sell them as one price. I'm only going to do 3 or 4 more questions, and then we're going to wrap up today so you can get to the rest of what you have to accomplish. So if you have a burning question, go ahead and pop it in the chat. All right, I am planning to teach an IT course. Is it a good idea to combine a recorded session with a live one? I love doing a combination. Often when you record something, you're going to get to the point a lot faster, but when you're doing it live, you're going to be able to pick up on the nuances of what your audience needs. In an ideal world, you would do the live one first and then create a recorded session after the fact that's more to the point. Jennifer, I am just starting an Adulting 101 money management business and will initially speak to groups for free to evangelize to young people, but want to use this platform to give access to digital products after and parents for a fee. Do I start at a low price point? Struggling to figure out this as most have limited funds. Adulting 101. Well, if you're targeting parents are going to have more money than their children. But if you're targeting the children, then that's going to affect the price point. I do talk about price point at pretty great length in the video, so recommend that. Okay, my last question, Mohammed, how to keep track or generate your niche leads? Okay, so I track my leads in a couple of different ways. Most of the time I'm just adding them directly to my email service provider, and I have a ton of different tags based on how they're interacting with my content. But if you are going to sell something that's more high end, I ultimately put them on like a lead tracker board inside my project management system. And I currently use Asana. We have a course called Asana for Business where we walk through how to track leads in a similar format. So if you're curious how I track leads, especially high-end leads, that would be a good follow-up option for you. You can also use a CRM. CRM is literally meant to track leads. There's a lot out there. It really kind of depends on your niche. So all of that to say, I know there is a ton more that you guys have questions that you would like answered. I just want to remind you that you have access to join one of our upcoming group coaching calls. You can find out more by going to bossproject.com/jump, and I share a little bit more about Pro and Scale. We have both group options and one-on-one available. I would love to see you join one of those. One is literally next week, so I'd love to have you on the call. And there's a lot of follow-up in Digital Product Jumpstart to dive even deeper into the strategy. So I appreciate you all for hanging out with me today. I wish you the best of luck on the rest of your launch. Make sure you go through the rest of the content, and then absolutely when you get to the end and you're ready to launch it, post your launch post and then come back and fill out our launched it like survey where we're asking you the name of your digital product, the link, and all of that, because we want to hear about what it is that you launched and make sure we're featuring you. So I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing everything you guys create. Have a great day, guys.